Imagine your own inner self, your thoughts, your essence, and your history as an intricate, beautifully completed jigsaw puzzle. When everything is as it should be, every piece is perfectly in place, creating a picture that is uniquely yours. Most of our daily connections are like showing someone a small section of that picture. We share a bit of our time or a few words with a friend. But at the end of the day, our puzzle remains completely our own. But physical intimacy involved a much deeper level of sharing, moving far beyond a simple conversation. It acts as a powerful mechanism that begins to physically shift the very pieces of our inner selves. When two people become physically intimate, invisible lines begin to weave between them, interlocking their edges. This spiritual merging creates a soul tie, a bond that bridges the gap between two separate lives. Ancient biblical texts describe this as more than just a physical moment. They see it as a spiritual locking mechanism where two puzzles become inseparable. Understanding how these spiritual pieces lock together is the key to seeing whether our inner picture stays whole or begins to change in ways we didn't expect. There is a specific blueprint for how this connection is designed to work, focusing on a permanent, committed union. An ancient principle in Genesis 2:24 describes a man and woman leaving their families to cleave to one another. This cleaving is like two puzzles pressing together so firmly that the boundary between them starts to vanish, creating a bond that's meant to hold fast. We see the result of this as the two separate pictures slide together. Their edges lock so perfectly that they form one massive, unified masterpiece, what the texts call becoming one flesh. In this environment, sharing your pieces doesn't leave you empty. Because the connection is permanent, you aren't losing yourself. You are becoming part of a larger, stronger picture. Within a marriage, the soul tie functions exactly as it was intended. It acts as a secure anchor, holding every piece of both souls safely in place for a lifetime. This unified masterpiece protects the wholeness of both people, allowing them to build something far more resilient than they ever could alone. But what happens if this same locking mechanism is triggered outside of that permanent protective container? In 1 Corinthians 6:16, there is a warning about being joined to a casual partner or a harlot, because the spiritual process doesn't change just because the commitment does. The soul tie doesn't have an off switch. Even in a casual encounter, that profound spiritual locking still takes place. When the connection ends and the two people move on, the puzzles pull apart. One person inevitably leaves pieces of their own picture behind, while walking away with jagged, mismatched pieces that belong to someone else. Over time, after multiple partners, the original picture becomes increasingly cluttered. It's riddled with empty gaps and foreign pieces that simply don't fit the original design. This is what it means to have a fragmented soul. Because so many pieces have been swapped or left behind, you no longer possess your whole original self. This fragmentation explains why casual intimacy can leave someone feeling scattered and incomplete. The spiritual design has been disrupted. Seeing these two outcomes side by side reveals the true stakes. On one side, we have a unified masterpiece. On the other, a soul struggling to keep its pieces together. These ancient instructions function as protective measures, meant to keep every piece of the puzzle right where it belongs, so your original picture never loses its shape. They exist to preserve your spiritual wholeness, ensuring that your essence isn't scattered across your past. If your own puzzle feels fragmented today, know that those gaps don't have to stay empty. Healing begins by recognizing these ties and understanding why you feel the way you do. Identifying these unhealthy spiritual connections is the first step toward untangling them and beginning the process of restoration. By guarding your heart and seeking spiritual healing, you can reclaim those missing pieces. You can move back toward being the whole, unfragmented masterpiece you were always meant